The opportunity in Africa with mining continues to be an exceptional and significant opportunity. I think it's really a given at this point that there are huge untapped resources across the continent, and these, as I said, and linked really with a population expansion over the next number of years to over 1 billion people, there is a significant market potential, market development potential also that needs to be unlocked. I think the real opportunity here is through the unlocking of these resources is really to improve the socioeconomic conditions of a lot of people across the continent, and I think this is what everybody is hoping for going forward. So I think there is a current reality. The mining industry is in a really difficult space at the moment. The depressed commodity prices essentially have resulted in very poor returns over the last few years, and I think there's been a lot of investor confidence that has waned over this time because of the poor returns that have come through. So essentially what's happened is that there's been a drying up of funding coming into this particular market, and a lot of companies are really struggling, right from the exploration and small juniors that are really almost at death's door in a lot of cases, from a funding perspective, to a lot of the large mining houses actually just simply not being able to afford large expansion projects. No, I don't believe mining is in a sunset phase. I mean, just the reality is we're going through a cycle at the moment. The investors are clearly out there, but we have to restore confidence back in the sector. And I think that is one of the challenges a lot of CEOs are looking at as we speak at the moment, to really restore confidence back into the sector. This gives also an opportunity, I might add, as a lot of assets are coming up on the horizon for investors to actually get in at probably discounted or significantly discounted prices. So I think from unlocking this investment, and there are probably 4 key things I think we just need to, I'd like to just put on the table and think about. One of them is really the need for collaboration across both government, and in fact intra-government and governments, in fact, around producers, around investors, around suppliers, and in fact even around labor. So what we see is a real need for collaboration to unlock this opportunity, because this can't do this on our own. This needs to be done in a cohesive way, really, to establish that cost competitiveness that we're looking for. We have to make the continent far more attractive for investment, and that requires us really re-looking at our cost base, these hidden costs that unfortunately have pushed ourselves up and made us uncompetitive. And we need to look at our political risk across a lot of these African countries, because often investors shy away where the political risk is much higher. So if I look at the AU have done great work around developing a mining vision, that mining vision really needs now to be operationalized. Action plans need to come out. We need to hold each other accountable around these action plans. And specifically, the infrastructure funds and development funds have a real role to play here. And essentially what we're saying here is they need to take the lead in really looking at the development of and creation, in fact, of these development corridors, because ultimately through the development and the focus around developing these areas, and these, I might add, are both economic and socio-economic sort of approaches, will result in a real confidence coming into the sector and a belief that we can in fact do this. The other point I think which is really important is the need for power, infrastructure across the continent. Power is the actual lifeblood of economic activity, and unfortunately Africa still struggles with this, and the power generation situation and power distribution situation across Africa is limited, and this really requires urgent attention for it to actually enable the actual development of this market. So let me give an example around the collaboration that is required. It really firstly requires a deep understanding on both sides of each other's needs and understanding of what objectives everybody is trying to achieve here. And often people miss each other on this. So this really requires an authentic discussion between parties around what really they need out of this. And I think to a large extent, companies and governments have, and in fact other stakeholders have been very parochial about their specific needs and recognize that they have to compromise. They need to compromise, they need to recognize that there are areas where they're going to have to actually back down. So that collaboration requires, well, as I said, authentic discussions. It requires almost an innovative look at how do you move this thing forward, because through the synergy of working together as a wider grouping, this makes us stronger. And I think that's unfortunately one of the things that has fragmented our economies, and in fact Africa to a large extent. If we could get that back, work that cohesion to work back. Another good example would be some areas will, power generation, for example. Some countries may not have the ability to generate power and need to actually leverage be able to access power from other countries. Working together now in a constructive way can allow that to unlock wonderful sort of resource opportunities in one country, but by using another country's power generation. So this moves, and this is particularly really evident around Pitu ports, where often the resource is in one country, the railroad runs through another country, and the port is in another country. So there's a win-win for everybody if they work together, and that's